Hey, this is Pat Battle, and once again in collaboration with the Organic Growers School here at Living Web Farms, we are going to give you another demonstration on how to propagate from your neighbors or your family members' backyard the plants you want right away for your COVID-19 victory garden, I think is what everybody's calling them. And there's a huge groundswell, a wise groundswell, to become more resilient in our food supplies and our medicine supplies. And this is lavender. It is both a wonderful herb for seasoning. Provençal herb blend has to have lavender in it to be Provençal. And so we're going to take a cutting. You can start these from seed, but germination is really difficult. You oftentimes will get as few as 20% or 10%. And it depends. Some people do way better. We're going to try once again, like we showed earlier in the cuttings for elderberries, rooting a very soft wood cutting. Cut off most of the leaf so that this little bit of stem has a chance to nurture and support its top, and the top will then start to photosynthesize and nurture and support the stem as it tries to root out. Now then we're going to stop doing that, and we're just going to take the rest of this off. I'll save it for some seasoning, and we're going to root this whole stem. Once again, freeing up lots of leaf scar area for the roots to come from, and then cutting a lot of the foliage off the top, because we do not want to stress the plant, which now has no roots, by making it try to get water for a whole lot of leaf mass. So you really want to cut the leaf back a lot, but leave a little bit, and then the photosynthesizing that little bit is going to do will nurture the production of the roots, and the leaves will grow out in tandem with the roots. So it's about a good shot right there. And we'll do one more. I like to do a couple because this is not a guaranteed take. And indeed, we're slightly early. I've made it work this time of year. And now I'm going to stick it in, try and stick it as deep as I can, so that lots of places where leaves have been are now below the soil, firming it really well so we get that capillary action. And let's find another one that's appropriate to do. This guy here looks pretty good. Do I have a likely candidate for doing softwood? Not really. They're all kind of short. There's not much stem there, so we won't do that. Just take all these leaves off. You want to try and get all the leaf too. You don't want it to rot below the soil. That's not going to help it to root from it at all. And kind of pulling away is the best. If you try and pull it down, you could actually debark it. You wouldn't think of it having a bark, but it does have. I actually did that a little bit right there. No, that's a leaf. Good. All right, so at this point, I'm just going to cut the leaves way back rather than pulling them off, because I want this part here to be above the soil. Okay. Once again, shoving it way down in there. So where all those leaves were are now places where roots can come out from. And when we get back in the greenhouse, this will go under the table so that it doesn't get a lot of sunlight and doesn't get stressed and try and make growth and have a proportion of leaf growth that is out of whack with its ability for rooting. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing here with sage. Sage is easier to germinate, but if you get a successful cutting, you will get a lot faster development, and you'll be able to use your sage a lot sooner. And this one's a lot readier for rooting because, as you can see, there is softwood growth already, and that makes it easier. So we're just going to take a few leaves off the bottom of here, and then we are going to cut back the top once again, and we have a nice mix of herbs for cooking tonight. Try to get that stem off too, so you're right down to the leaf scar. This one might be a little long for this. Yeah, I'm actually going to cut this off right here. I'm going to sacrifice one leaf scar area. I'm going to remove the last vestiges of leaves there. And then we're going to slide this in. I slide them in at an angle so I can use a small pot, not take up too much space, but get a whole lot of the stem in the soil. And actually, when I get back in the greenhouse, I'm going to fill this up so that the soil comes right up to the level just below where the softwood is. Right at that juncture, is where I'm going to get the best and most rapid rooting, probably. Okay, we're going to do one more. And kind of thin out the center a little bit here. Sage is really good to constantly make new babies because anybody that's grown it around here knows that it can be one spectacular plant, really looking lovely, and then we get one of our intense periods of endless rain and no sun, and the whole plant turns black. So if you've got a couple of babies waiting in the wings, you can go out and replace that. It'll rapidly grow, and you won't interrupt your sage production for very long. This one has at least 3 growths that lend themselves to trying to do the softwood cuttings. And so maybe, yeah. And this is a gamble on the one here. This is probably too soft, but it's not going to hurt anything to try. And I wouldn't mind getting 4 plants from one cutting. But I couldn't shove this in. It's so soft that if I tried to shove it in, it would be crushed. And I almost, look at that, left those leaves on the bottom, which would not be good. And folks, when we have success or a lack of success with the various cuttings we've been showing you in the last few videos, once they all have done well or we determine they won't do well, we'll do a check-in video and talk about what worked and what didn't and why we think it did or didn't. Once again, got to cut that leaf mass off. I should have done it before I put it in the soil. You can oftentimes pull the plant right back out again trying to cut the leaf off. Okay, we'll do this last one. I take them in the greenhouse, give them a good watering, and hope that we get 4 sage plants. And like I said, as soon as these go in the ground, I think I want to take cuttings from them as soon as they made enough growth and just keep making cuttings, and that way you'll not be heartbroken when your sage up and dies, because it will. It just happens here all the time. There's one variety we grew that's supposed to take the wet better, and it didn't do much better, I don't think. So there we go. We got 3 softwood cuttings there. 1 hardwood cutting. Maybe we'll do 1 more hardwood cutting just to be safe. Oh, we have 1 more hardwood cutting right here. That's right. I was about to forget that. Sorry, sage. And once again, can't get it all under, so I'm going to cut some off. Come from the angle, but an angle away from the other plant. I don't want to really have the roots all tangled up. Nope. I have to cut this again to get it to work. The pot's getting a little crowded. Okay, there's our sage cuttings, our lavender cuttings, and if these are successful, which there's a good chance they will be, we'll have plants that are way ahead from if we started them by seed. All right.